Welcome to The Edge for Tomorrow, the podcast where founders and leaders in fintech and financial services reveal their strategies for success, growth, and staying ahead. I'm Tracy, CEO of Windsor Edge, and my job is simple, helping businesses grow faster and smarter. Let's jump into today's episode. Joining me today is Kevin Box, LinkedIn expert. He helps creators grow and monetize on LinkedIn. He's had over 101 million impressions just in 2024, and he's here to tell you how to grow your influence and monetize your content. Kevin, thanks so much for being here. Tell us, what's the one thing that stops people from creating content?
A lot of people, inertia stops them from starting because they're afraid of putting themselves out there. They're afraid of writing online. I guess I just wasn't afraid of all that. Did I make a lot of mistakes? Yes. Did I make a fool of myself? Absolutely. But I just jumped in with both feet and started to learn it along the way. And so I made my first post. I had about 3,000 connections and followers on April, I think the 3rd or 4th of 2023. Made my first post. Of course, no one saw it. And I just kept posting every day, writing every day, creating every day, developing my network. And pretty soon, by December of 2023, I think I'd grown to about 10,000 followers. I made about $500 because I started to monetize almost from day one as well. And you think, well, how do you monetize when you don't even know what you're doing? That's one of the things that a lot of people don't really understand when they start creating and influencing online is you could be the greatest writer in the world. You could write prose like Stephen King or Mark Twain, but it's really different when it comes to writing online. You have to understand the algorithm when you're writing online. You can't just start writing and get reach. Really, no one reads it if you don't know the algorithm. And so I started to really research the algorithm. A lot of my training that I first developed going back to April was around the algorithm, around using artificial intelligence to write and to brainstorm and ideate, understanding the algorithm. And so LinkedIn, there was a huge algorithm change around August of 2023, slowed everyone down. Impressions were way down. I think I got up to around 6,500 to 7,000 followers around August. And then it just slowed way down. I'd gotten to around 10,000 by December. And it was really at a point where I may want to quit. I mean, it just seems like I'm really going nowhere. I'm like, I'm really spending a lot of time growing this small little audience, writing every day, but not really going anywhere. And so anytime I talked about the algorithm just a moment ago, but anytime you write online on a social media platform, you really have to live by your breakthroughs. And so breakthroughs may come and they may not, but I'm telling you, if you're grinding every day, if you're learning every day, if you're watching and just seeing what other people are doing, you're going to have a breakthrough. I had my first breakthrough in December 2023. Between December the 11th or 12th and New Year's Day, grew from 10,000 followers to 20,000 followers in just a few weeks. I started to grow about 10 to 12,000 followers per month. By August of 2024, I hit 100,000. By that time, my monetization had started to really amp up. And so I was making a couple $1,000s a month then. It got really exciting and got a new win, so to speak. It just started growing from there. And then this week, it may happen today, it may happen tomorrow, but I'm going to hit the 200,000 milestone. It's been a challenge. It's been a struggle, but it has been worth it so far. It really has. The other thing people don't tell you when you start to influence online is the emotional toll it can take on your body and your mindset, your physical health and your mental health. When you start living and dying by the dopamine rush you get anytime you have a post go viral, you really don't know that until you have one go viral. You have tens of thousands of people that engage your post and you get millions and millions of impressions on one post. You start to have these ups and downs where the next day you don't quite have that same success, and then you'll get it a week later or maybe 2 weeks later. Then you start living and dying by that a little bit. Mentally, you start to look forward to it and you get depressed if you don't get it. Well, no one really told me that you got to manage those emotions. You got to manage your mental self as you begin creating on LinkedIn. If you don't, it will eat you up. You will burn out and you will quit. When I started, there was 4 or 5 synergy buddies that I had. A synergy buddy is somebody that we brainstorm together, ideate together. We engage on each other's posts. We really develop a pretty deep bond with one another and we grow together. Well, I had several of those that just quit. They fell by the wayside. Suddenly they were gone because they could not keep up with the emotional toll that it took. I was able to withstand it through all the emotional ups and downs until I had my big breakthrough. Once you have that big breakthrough and you get a taste of that success, then it becomes a little easier. Then as you continue to have breakthroughs, continue to develop your niche, develop your voice, develop your writing style, and learn how to right for reach, it starts to get a little bit better. You have to constantly manage your emotional state. And you do that through proper sleep, digital rest, and sensory rest, getting away from it a bit. One thing that helped me was I really ramped up and built a lot of digital collateral. I call them digital assets because they're worth money. People will buy them. A lot of infographics and cheat sheets I created. I created such a mass number of them to where I could sit back and I knew which ones were viral, and every 35, 40, 50 days, repurpose them. Now I have a library of posts that I don't really have to create every day. And so that helped tremendously in terms of helping to balance the emotional state and the workload and avoiding burnout.
What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about the potential of what could happen if you're successful, and also how to go about doing it?
The biggest misconception is that if you post something that people are going to see it, and they're just not. If you have 200,000 followers and you do a simple post that is a great post and should go viral, if you don't properly know how to break through the algorithm, no one's going to read it, no matter how big you are. I think there's a misconception there. If they just post every day on a social media platform, that it's actually going to get reach, but it's not. You have to understand the algorithm. You have to understand how to leverage your synergies. You have to understand how to break through the initial algorithmic wall. Otherwise, no one's going to see it. I thought that if I had X number of thousand followers, that I could just post every day and wouldn't have to do much work. People would just see it, but it just doesn't work that way. I know people that have over 1 million followers, but their posts get very little reach because they've never really learned the algorithm. They started posting early on LinkedIn when the algorithm was weak. And there was a time the algorithm was weak and it was sort of open, if you will, and you could easily get engagement and impressions. So when I first started, it was nothing for me to get 20, 30, 40,000 impressions with only 5,000 followers. When that big shift happened in August of 2023, that went away. Had I not really understood the algorithm, understood how to leverage my synergies and how to get reach and how to write and some of the nuances around how the algorithm works, I never would have gotten reach. I never would have grown. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people fell by the wayside and why they quit. They don't really understand the fundamentals of being an online influencer and what it really takes to break through the algorithmic wall. They end up quitting. You know, there are certain things that work on LinkedIn and certain things that don't. It's always changing. You really have to have your ear to what's working and what's not on a given day, because what worked today won't work tomorrow, and what worked yesterday is not working today. That's a bit of a misconception. The other one is if you have a business page on LinkedIn, that business page is going to get anywhere near the reach as a personal page, personal profile, because it won't. I've had people come to me and ask me to help grow their business profile, and I just tell them it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. The way that LinkedIn is set up is they're set up for business profiles to boost their presence in their posts. You boost through paying LinkedIn a certain fee to get a certain amount of impressions. And because of that, LinkedIn drastically suppresses a business profile's post impressions. Those are two big misconceptions: understanding the algorithm and understanding that a business profile doesn't work. And when it comes to social media platforms, it's really the individual that is king or queen. People follow people. They don't follow businesses anyway. What I would encourage anyone that is a founder, anyone that owns their own business, anyone that wants to grow their social or new media presence, they really need to start with their own personal profile, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on X, whether it's on Instagram. Although X and Instagram, it's a lot easier to grow a business channel than it is on LinkedIn. It's just night and day, but still people are going to follow people. The business is not a person. I would encourage any founder that wants to grow their business on a social media platform is that first you have to start with growing your own channel and your own personality, because that's really the way that you're going to be able to get some of that traffic, and really a great deal of that traffic, over to your business profile.
How did you help a situation at post when it was stopped by the algorithm?
There's a great creator, Richard Vanderblom. He puts out an annual report every year that is fabulous. It's a free report. Throughout the year, they will A/B test posts, A/B test what's working and what's not, A/B test certain topics, and they just do it from the ground up. That gave me a tremendous amount of insight into how the algorithm works, the LinkedIn algorithm. But the LinkedIn algorithm is very nuanced. You have to understand what it looks for. I'll give you a simple example. If you create a post and in your post guidance, which is the top part of the post, not the image, but the top part of the post. If you put a link in that post, the LinkedIn algorithm will severely suppress your post. A lot of people don't know that. It's a very nuanced thing. Does that mean that larger creators don't do it? No, they do it all the time, because it's really a two-edged sword, because you have to put links in if you want to drive anyone to your website or to your call to action. That's one example of how the algorithm works. The other ways the algorithm works is hashtags. I see a lot of people using a dozen hashtags in a post. And believe it or not, the algorithm will look at that and think that it's spam. It really downgrades the quality of your post by doing that. You're better off not even using a hashtag, or using one and maybe using the same one every time and owning that hashtag. Then the last way, when you tag another person within a LinkedIn post, the reason why the algorithm suppresses when there's a link in there, because LinkedIn is trying to keep you on platform. Obviously, if you have a link that links to another one of your posts on LinkedIn, it won't have the same effect as if you're trying to link to a website that's off platform. I want to make that distinction. Going back to tagging people, if you tag somebody, they better well engage that post within the first 60 minutes, or LinkedIn's going to consider that to be spam and it's going to suppress your post. Anytime I'm planning to tag somebody, I get with them the day before and say, hey, I'm tagging you. Are you going to be able to hit it at this time? Engage it at this time? If they say no, I don't tag. The other thing people do is they will tag 8, 10, 12 people in one post, and that is a big no-no. The algorithm will deem your post spam and suppress the heck out of it. Some of the algorithmic things that you have to pick up on as a creator to understand that if you do these things, these little faux pas, you're not going to get any reach. And so understanding that is key, I think, to getting reach on LinkedIn.
That is fascinating. So many people say, I've tried social, it doesn't work. When you're simply posting every day, there's so much to learn. Now I just want to explain an algorithm by giving a personality to LinkedIn and saying LinkedIn doesn't like some things and it does. And you got to get to know her and see what she likes.
I think it was CNBC to put out a study that 57% of Gen Zers identify as being creators in some capacity. The world is really moving to a creator economy. In the next 5 to 10 years, people are going to be moving over to more of a portfolio career as opposed to freelancer, as opposed to working a 9-to-5 job at a brick and mortar location. We have hybrid coming in, we have remote workers. And so learning to write on social media, learning to develop your own personal brand and your own thought leadership is going to be extremely impactful in the future. If you're not currently writing on a social media platform, you're going to have to. Might as well start doing it today, putting yourself out there, learning the craft, and doing it, because I think in the future, you're going to have to do it anyway, especially if you're a Gen Z or you're a younger generation that is, got 20, 30 years of the workforce ahead of you.
That's great advice. What would you suggest if somebody didn't know what to write
I
about?
would say, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? What's your actual vocation? Or do you want to make your vacation your vocation? Do you want to be an expert in cooking, or do you want to be an expert in finance, or do you want to be an expert in ... And just start writing about it and start reading about it and become a student of it and learn it. I would say that you don't have to always write in a very tight niche. I'm a LinkedIn growth coach, but all of my writing that I do is about leadership and personal growth. And the reason is because you get the most reach. I have a passion for writing about that. And that attracts more people to follow me, to my profile. I probably get 30,000 visits a month to my profile. And then I can filter people through to my lead magnets, to my website, to my monthly workshop that I do, through my community that I have, to get people to hire me as a coach. They would never see that if I was strictly writing about LinkedIn growth, because LinkedIn can get boring. You use a lot of repetitive stuff. But now that I'm writing about leadership and personal growth, or health, or something to do with becoming a better person, that attracts people and you get a lot more reach. So don't stay within that tight niche, I think. Some people would take it differently, but I really think you have to be broad sometimes, and then it's okay to go niche sometimes.
That's an excellent point. I actually heard the same thing from a YouTube influencer. If you're only speaking to your hot and warm people, you're not going to attract people.
That's exactly right. I mean, if I just posted every day about being a LinkedIn growth coach, well, I wouldn't get the person that is interested in leadership, but then had a job change and is thinking about maybe doing some online creating, or maybe they have a venture they want to grow, or maybe they're a founder that just started their own business and they want to grow their personal brand or the thought leadership. They would never know about me and what I do. By the way, I get that from Ben Muir, who is a great creator on LinkedIn, and he believes in more of a broad methodology. Some creators out there who are wildly successful that write in their niche market, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just choose to write broadly at the moment. Maybe in the future, I'll narrow that down a bit. But right now, I'm still collecting or harvesting followers. And so I want to get to 1 million followers before I really start doing it.
That's a great goal.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be scared to step outside the box. Trust me, no one cares about you more than they do themselves, and they're thinking about themselves more. So just get out there and do it.